Hey guys, welcome to the OUTRAGED channel. Friends, before starting to watch this video, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. I really want to get 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. The famous British boxer Tony Bellew was skeptical about the potential confrontations of Fury with Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. Fury will always want to fight Joshua because this fight will give him the biggest fee in his life. Therefore, he will always want this fight. But will there be any new achievements in boxing for Fury? Absolutely not. I've heard that the freak show he wants to put on by fighting Francis Ngannou. It would be a total mismatch. This is some kind of joke. Ngannou is a former UFC champion. It is impossible to imagine that this will happen, Bellew said. Francis Ngannou confirmed that he had been in talks with Joshua and Wilder. Former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou wants to hold the next fight in the boxing ring and said that he was in talks with former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. My next step has to be boxing, Ngannou said. First, I want to have one boxing match and then maybe I will return to MMA because I still like MMA. I want to have a couple of fights in boxing. We're working on something and hopefully in a couple of months I will be able to make an announcement about potential fights, Ngannou added. It took longer than I expected, but it's going on. Big things take time. I consider anyone as a rival, Ngannou said. I talked to Eddie Hearn about Anthony Joshua. I don't know what will happen to this. Most of all, I discussed this with Deontay Wilder's team. We held several meetings and actually came to an oral agreement. Many boxing experts say that the career of the former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua will end if he loses the fight to American Jermaine Franklin. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, disagree with this statement. Hearn is confident that the boxer will be able to return to the world stage even if he loses this fight. But it will be very difficult to get a championship fight. It's a great fight. Franklin had an amazing fight with Dillian Whyte, showed how good he is. Obviously, Joshua has suffered 2 defeats, and now there are a lot of questions for him. Franklin, this is the guy who will show what level Anthony is at. Of course, it will be very difficult to get a fight for the world title if Joshua loses. He has to pass this test. So there is a lot of pressure on him right now. If he loses, I don't think it will be the end of his career. But in terms of a championship fight, it will be very difficult, Hearn said. Recall that Joshua will meet with Franklin on April 1st. The fight will take place at the O2 Arena in London, United Kingdom. Friends, before starting to watch this video, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you really enjoy the content, then please subscribe to my channel and keep watching the videos. If you are subscribed, then receive notifications about the release of new videos. You do not even have to look for anything personally. I really want to get 10,000 subscribers on my channel. I'm trying very hard absolutely every day, and I need your support. Your likes, comments, reposts to social networks. Thanks for supporting me, guys. Famous promoter Frank Warren considers the WBC World Heavyweight Champion Tyson Fury the greatest fighter of his generation. Everyone wants to see a Fury fight, and you need to take your hat off to Tyson Fury, because he is the only fighter since Ali, Foreman and Frazier who has fought with the best in his generation. Everyone is talking about Lennox Lewis, but Lewis has never fought Riddick Bowe. He never fought Mike Tyson when he was at his peak. I'm not talking anything about from Lennox Lewis. He is a great fighter, but Tyson fought all these guys at their best time, Warren said. The Bronze Bomber is one of the most physically gifted boxers in the history of the heavyweight division. During his career, the American won 43 victories and 42 of them were by knockout. Absolutely any professional fighter can enjoy such a percentage of early winnings, but no matter how tough a boxer Wilder was, there is no denying the fact that age will take its toll sooner or later. Now the former world champion is already 37. At his age, it is much more difficult to carry heavy loads and prepare for fights than in younger years. History knows many examples when fighters successfully perform up to 40 years, but it's hard to predict how things might actually turn out. With age, many athletes sink physically, and they also begin to be haunted by injuries accumulated over the years. Always means that at the most unpredictable moment, absolutely any fighter can go downhill. At the moment, Wilder remains one of the main contenders for the championship belt, but it's unknown what will happen to him in a year. There is a serious competition in every sport, and no one will take into account veterans. If you enter the ring, you need to prove your right to the belt. However, sooner or later Wilder may come across an opponent who simply outboxed him because of his better physical condition. And if Deontay suffers another defeat, then there can be no question of any belt. Tyson Fury's father John Fury considers the fight with Anthony Joshua the most important in Tyson Fury's career. Absolutely yes. Joshua versus Tyson is still a great fight. People know that. So get off the man and stop kicking him while Joshua is on the decline. He just needs to fix some things, and then he will be back on the winning path. By the way, Joshua also has to leave Eddie Hearn. This idiot won't help him in any way, Fury said. American heavyweight Michael Hunter said that he has nothing against the fight of the former world champion in his division Anthony Joshua against Jermaine Franklin, despite the fact that some fans criticized the choice of such an opposition for AJ's comeback. I've heard my name mentioned, but only up to a certain point. I like this fight, but I mean that I will definitely watch it. I think everyone is a little curious about Anthony Joshua's return, which is one to watch a good fight. Franklin has proven himself, he is getting better. I hope he will perform well in this fight, Hunter said. Dmitry Salita, the promoter of American heavyweight Jermaine Franklin, called it the main drawback of the future opponent of his word, ex-world champion Britain Anthony Joshua. If you look at the guy's fights, you will see that Jermaine is going forward despite missing shots, while Joshua is afraid. We saw this in the fight with Ruiz. Anthony cannot combine his skills and character at the highest level. He had a good fight against Kubrat Pulev, but was not as spectacular as we expected from him. I consider Joshua one of the greatest fighters of our generation, and I don't want to belittle his merits, but we have seen that he becomes indecisive when he misses a punch. After a missed shot, he thinks twice before showing aggression against his opponent. Obviously, Jermaine must continue to develop his potential and must prove himself in this fight, the promoter said. Dmitry Salita, the promoter of heavyweight Jermaine Franklin, believes that his word has many similarities with the Mexican Andy Ruiz, so he is sure that the American has a good chance of winning the fight with the Briton Anthony Joshua. I think Jermaine has a lot of Andy Ruiz qualities. He has a good chin, he goes forward, cuts calls, and also quick hands. Franklin is a combination puncher and has shown that he can fight at the highest level thousands of miles from home. When the crowd is against him, he demonstrated this in a fight with Dillian Whyte. Jermaine is very hungry and wants to change his life, the promoter said. Dmitry Salita believes that his word got a fight against ex-British champion Anthony Joshua at the right time. There is no doubt about it. Jermaine will meet with AJ during the change of coach, and he is after 2 defeats. Joshua is a great fighter, one of the best of this generation. These are several historical victories on his resume. Joshua is a popular figure outside the ring. Personally, I am a fan of AJ. I think he is a fantastic fighter, but he is not nearly as hungry anymore. We are all human beings, and he has impressive achievements. Jermaine is still at the beginning of his journey. This guy is hungry for a world title and fame. That's what's at stake in this fight, promoter said. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.